The New York Rangers are in a very interesting spot right now as they're currently just on the outside looking in of a wild card spot. They're one of the kind of many teams right now competing for one of those two wild card spots in the Eastern Conference. And with where this team is at right now, kind of as a franchise after trading for a guy like JT Miller, having this crazy up and down season, there definitely are some question marks on kind of what their plan is going forward for this team and kind of what direction they are truly trying to go in. And in today's video, we have a bit of an idea on some of that and kind of what the plan could possibly look like for this trade deadline and kind of what this team could look to be doing kind of going forward into the future as well. So we're going to take a look at some of this news in today's video. And I do think it is important to note, though, that the kind of 7 games after this Four Nations face-off break that the New York Rangers are going to have to play in between the end of the break here and that March 7th kind of trade deadline date, I think those games are going to be extremely important for this team to kind of really decide on what decision and kind of what path they're ultimately going to end up kind of choosing to take, because obviously, if you lose kind of, 6 of those 7 games there's a very good chance the Rangers are quite a few points back of even that second wildcard spot, and there would probably end up being quite a few teams kind of in between them and that second wildcard spot. So maybe then you're obviously looking to be more of sellers and kind of maybe be heavy sellers as well, which pretty much selling off every kind of expiring contract you possibly can. Or maybe this team goes 6-1 and they're in that second wildcard spot or in that first wildcard spot, and they're possibly kind of deciding on being maybe a bit of buyers, and they're maybe selling off a piece like a Ryan Lindgren, and they're kind of trading for a different defenseman or whatever it is, or just kind of allowing a Zach Jones kind of jump back in the lineup. There are a lot of different kind of scenarios we could see, and a guy like Zach Jones, I definitely think should still be kind of on the trade block, and I'm assuming the Rangers are still trying to shop him and trying to get something for him, but I'd imagine that teams are not looking to give up too much for him because of his whole situation. So we'll have to wait and see what does happen. But like I said in today's video, we have some kind of news and a bit of updates and kind of reports on what this kind of path could end up being and kind of looking like for the Rangers. So we're going to take a look at some kind of quotes and news from an article from Vince Mercogliano that he posted the other day. And first off, he ends up saying, quote, "Everyone wants to know if the Rangers are going to be buyers or sellers, but the reality is they like to do a little bit of both. And with a projected total of close to $16.5 million in available cap space by March 7th, which is the deadline, according to Puckpedia, they have ample room to maneuver." And I think that is really good for this team because they're going to have a lot of opportunity to go out there and, make a lot of different types of trades, whether that is, kind of a buying move or a selling move or kind of one that helps you do a bit of both. I mean, there are a lot of options for this Rangers team to go out there and upgrade this team, but also not just upgrade it for now, but also the future as well. So I think there are a lot of different kind of trades and decisions this team can make, and having this amount of cap space is going to kind of open up a lot of different doors and a lot of different opportunities to try and make this team better for, like I said, not just now, but also going into the future as well, which is important because this is not a kind of must, win now season for the Rangers. I think the opportunity for, kind of the playoff window, you could say, if you want, with this kind of new core of players, if you want to say, of like the JT Millers and kind of shifting towards the Trocheks and the Foxies and kind of less of the Trubas, obviously, and the Kreider and the Zibanejad and the Panarins, with this kind of new core of guys, I think the window is open for quite a few years now. I mean, yes, guys like, JT Miller and, Trocheck and those kind of guys, they're not young necessarily, but they're also not old either. And they're not like they're, going to fall off a cliff in like a year or two. I think they still have quite a few more years left of having some really good play left in their careers. So I think with where this team's at right now, they don't have, 5-6 years of a window with this kind of, core of like JT Miller and Trocheck and those guys, but you do have still quite a few more seasons left of them still playing at kind of top tier hockey. So I think over the next few seasons here, it's going to be important to kind of, get back on track and get back towards winning ways. But with where this team is at right now, really and truly, they do not need to go out there and kind of force some buying moves, which I think would be potentially a very bad thing for this team's future. But carrying on, though, and taking a look now at the next kind of quote here from his article, and he ends up saying, "It would be extremely short-sighted to employ Drew's strategy of trading draft picks for rentals for the 4th straight season. There's a time and place for that, but doing it year after year is an unsustainable practice that limits the franchise's long-term viability." And that is exactly what I've talked about for a long while now, honestly. It's been a while that I've continued to say this. Since this Rangers team kind of into their slump this season, I really started to kind of make it clear that I did not want to see, as a Rangers fan, as a diehard Rangers fan, I did not want to see this team go out there and trade for, a bunch of rentals or a high tier rental that's going to cost, like a top tier prospect like an Othman or a Gabe Pro or even a Brett Berard, those kind of prospects, I definitely do not want to see traded away for rentals unless there is a, pretty much like 99% chance of an extension coming in like right away. So unless something like that's going to happen, there's an extension kind of like the Marcus Pettersson deal with the Canucks there where they traded for Marcus Pettersson, a pending UFA this upcoming offseason, and pretty much instantly after trading for him, not too long after, got an extension done. So that's the real kind of only way I want to see kind of rental acquired, kind of like what they did with Will Borgen, obviously. I mean, at moments, I definitely have had my kind of questions and kind of concerns about his extension. I still have them, but at least they did go out there and, yeah, they traded for a rental, and I still don't love that Kakko deal, but at least they didn't end up letting, Will Borgen walk away for nothing. If they were not going to extend him like they obviously have done here and they were not going to re-sign him, at least trading him away would have made sense. So in this case here, at least we're not losing Will Borgen for nothing. At least it's not going to be like that 3rd and 6th round pick just for Kakko. It's still Will Borgen, that 3rd and 6th round pick for Kakko. So it makes it a little bit better, but still I don't love that trade, but it does look a little better now that we have obviously extended him. He also goes on to say it would be borderline malpractice not to explore trades for players on expiring contracts who they don't expect to re-sign, mainly forwards Riley Smith and Jimmy Vesey and defensemen Zach Jones and Ryan Lindgren. I suspect they'll do just that, on top of possibly weaponizing their cap space to take on excess salary in return for picks. And with where this team is at right now, I think that would be an incredible idea for Chris Drury. With where this team is at right now, with the prospects and the draft capital that this team does have, going up there and, taking on a bad contract or two would not be the worst idea. I mean, this team is not going to be able to use up realistically all that kind of $16.5 million in cap space. So going out there, if you're available to it, and be maybe that 3rd team in a trade or whatever it is to kind of help, facilitate a trade for a team to help take on a bad contract or retain a bit of money if you have to, really would not be the worst idea at all. And it could really help this team kind of add in some assets for pretty much free. I mean, as fans, we're not paying that contract. So I think that would be absolutely phenomenal there. If they can take on some bad deals and just kind of utilize some of their cap space to acquire another draft pick or two or a prospect or something like that, I think that would be such a good idea because this team has used up so many of their draft picks and prospects and, already not having a ton, but they've used up so many over these past trade deadlines and in the offseason going after a guy like Riley Smith and, trading for guys like Tarasenko and Patrick Kane and all those kind of trade deadlines, all that kind of stuff has used up so many draft picks over the years. And I think going out there and just kind of adding in some for almost free, it just kind of using cap space to get that stuff is a really, really good idea. So if they can do that, I would automatically pretty much give it Drury an A+ for those trades because those are the kind of deals that, with where this team is at right now, with how much cap space they have available, it would make a ton of sense. Now, there's going to be other teams out there trying to do the same, so we'll have to wait and see. There are teams with even more cap space available, but I do think it makes sense for the Rangers to try and at least make those trades kind of happen. And I've kind of talked about this a lot in the past as well, but trading away guys like Riley Smith, Jimmy Vesey, Zach Jones, Ryan Lindgren, if the Rangers don't expect or don't kind of really want to bring these players back, you have to look at trading them away. Now, if you're just going to get back like a 7th round pick for Riley Smith, which that would not be what's offered. You could get more than that. But what I'm saying, like if you're getting absolute crazy bad lowball offers and you're not getting anything close to kind of what your evaluation is, then okay, fine. That can make sense there to maybe not trade those guys away, because if you're truly only getting back like, just a 5th round pick for Riley Smith, then, you maybe do just kind of want to keep that guy, right? That could make sense. I can understand that. And I would not be, as a Rangers fan, upset about that if that's all you're really getting offered. But, if you are getting offered a decent package for any of these players, a decent amount of value, I think it does make sense. If you don't expect or don't want to bring these players back, get rid of them, bring in some assets, and open up some spots as well for younger players. But that's also what happens, where you're not just getting back that, let's say, 3rd round pick for Riley Smith. You're also able to open up that kind of wing spot there where you can kind of call up a guy like a Brett Berard or a Brennan Othman, who's really done a great job since kind of coming back from injury. So you can obviously give that kind of opportunity now to a kind of young player where you're getting back a pick or a prospect or both, whatever it is, and you're also getting a chance for that kind of young talent like an Hoffman or a Berard or whatever it is to come back up to the NHL and compete and just kind of get some more experience, play some meaningful hockey, try and help this team make the playoffs, but just really get some more experience and reps at the NHL level, which is definitely a very important thing for some of these prospects, which you definitely have to hope will have a pretty major impact in the future for this team. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. And also, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this whole situation here and kind of where your thoughts are at right now with the kind of team's direction and for this upcoming deadline with the Rangers as well. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one. Bye.